Okay, peace and blessings, y'all. Welcome to Voices of the Millennials. I am your host, Elle, Lyon, or Lyon, whichever which way you want to call it. I am the founder of Pretty Dope Art, so that is my stuff down at the bottom. If you are hearing me live, that means you are now probably watching or listening to me live on Love Bay Radio. Thank you for joining. We are going to be in for oh, all right. So let's get started. Today we are going to be talking all about breakdowns and breakthroughs. You know how we having an elevated conversation. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay online here radio. We go. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay online radio. Go. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay online radio. Go. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay online radio. Go. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay online radio. Go. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are listening live on Love Bay. Are y'all hearing me? Hearing me? We are okay. Peace and blessings, y'all. Welcome to Voices of the Millennials. I am your host, Elle, Lyon, or Lyon, whichever which way you want to call it. All right, all right. So sorry for the technical difficulties there, y'all. I was just hearing myself back and echoing, so I apologize. As you know, you are listening live on Love Bay online music talk radio, and I am your host on Voices of the Millennials podcast, and we talk about many things, but one of the things that I love to do, because my name is Elle, and shamelessly plugging myself in there, I love to elevate people. Like I said a couple weeks ago, and I say it all the time, I get up in the morning really to put people on. I love building platforms and then being able to elevate people, give them the skills and the resources and the tools that they need to get there. Now, I've been doing that for a long time in my life as a coach, as a curator, as a counselor, as a coordinator, curator, so many things. But I love, 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 and I couldn't have done this without being able to be connected to community, connected to mentors, people who could help me to be able to grow beyond what I knew and what I know. And so today I'm really, really excited to be having another elevated conversation. And this elevated conversation that we're going to be having is about breakdowns and how they lead to breakthroughs. And I believe that breakdowns are really just breakthroughs that haven't been found. And when I say that, I mean they're in disguise. Sometimes we can't recognize how, something that seems horrible is actually a blessing. And it's interesting because our guest today that is going to be coming through and blessing the spot, anyone that knows me knows that one of my favorite words has to be blessing, right? And so it makes sense that we have a guest today, Blessed Brooks, who's going to be coming. She is one of those people who does it all. There's this term that I've heard recently when it comes in the filmmaking world, and they call these people a unicorn. Yes, here comes my unicorn. Yes, I was just speaking your praises, Miss Blessed Brooks. Thank you so much for coming through. And honestly, I love blessings. I say that word so much before I even met you, but coming through and blessing the spot, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome.
My
How are you
pleasure.
feeling?
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having
me.
me.
Blessings, blessings. Okay, so I was just letting everyone who's listening to us in 135 countries around the world, as well as we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So letting all those folks know and everyone listening on the online station that I have a unicorn who's coming to speak to us. And in the film world, a unicorn is someone who does it all. It's a very rare person because this person knows how to like do everybody's job. And we have Stephanie Joseph dropping in. Hello from the YouTube world. I want to shout out all the guests who join us. Thank you so much. And so I believe that you're this kind of person. Since I've met you, I've only heard, all of the amazing things you're doing. Every time we speak, you are adding new things to the list, new businesses, new ideas, and you are also an elevator. I truly believe this. Like, I had to have you on for an elevated conversation because you are the type of person that I have seen uplift people in your community. As you are climbing, you are lifting others up. You're making sure that this platform is not just you on a pedestal, it's your whole community on your back. And I'd love to know more about what, your breakdowns along this journey, because I'm sure there are some breakdowns, and how you broke through to the person that you are today. So you can start anywhere. I allow guests, tell me what's most important to know about, and I'll give you a prompt. You can tell me about your biggest breakdown and how it led to your biggest breakthrough.
Wow. Well, thank you for that introduction. First of all,
One sec. Oh, it's on mute. Yeah, that happened to me last week. Don't even worry, girl. For like 5 minutes.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, you're blessed.
So myself, I'm just drawn to entrepreneurship. Is there a way to stop the feedback in my ear?
Yes,
Even when I took it out, it's playing back.
Oh, is your YouTube on? No. That was happening to me earlier.
It didn't happen at sound check,
of course. Of course. We did sound check. Okay, it's still feeding back. Let's try this again. Maybe we'll do a leave and come back, and then we'll bring Blessed Brooks back and make sure that her sound is good, because this woman has a lot of gems to drop. I'm very excited to speak to her so that, everyone else can be able to understand. Yes, I'm going to say we're going to have Blessed go out, and she's going to come right back in and rejoin us. And then we will have our conversation about big breakdowns and big breakthroughs. Honestly, every time, I must admit, this show comes on, I do prepare. And it's really important to me to prepare, getting the guests and getting people together, making sure that this happens. However, sometimes things break down. And every time this show happens, I think to myself, when the breakdown happens, I'm just like, really? Again? And I'm wondering, when am I going to have, that breakthrough episode where everything goes exactly right? And then I realized that I think the universe is really, honestly, giving me the biggest gift right now, the biggest blessing in being able to show people when the breakdowns happen. What are you going to do? Are you going to, unless, the internet, like what happened today, if it kicks you out, it kicks you out. But are you going to let it keep you down? That's what I have a question. Like, for the people listening out there, are you going to, when something happens to you that, unexpected, don't like it, this is challenging, uncomfortable, are we going to let those things hold us down? And while we're waiting for Blessed to come back, I'm just going to double check, make sure. She might be messaging me, just making sure. Yes. So I also have to realize that, yes, there are people listening, so they can't hear what is happening, right? They cannot hear what's happening when there's like lulls, etc. My little feedback at the beginning, etc. but they can't hear. So I'm wondering when they're listening at home, what's happening, but it's real life happening out here, people. And I kind of actually like that about this podcast. There's not a lot of people, not a lot of places for me right now where I get to be so candid and just be truly myself and you get to see me, going through these things and trying to make things work and truly going through these breakdowns and these breakthroughs. And that's why I believe the universe is truly utilizing me as this channel, because I told a couple people weeks ago, like, Voices of the Millennials, that feels like a big title. It feels like, how can I be the voice of an entire generation? However, what I believe that it is that it is a responsibility for me to be able to show up. And so when things go wrong, I cannot lay down, and I have to get back up. Michael Jordan had this quote. It's one of my favorites. I'd love to hear anybody at home, who's listening. And even if you're listening right now and you're not in a platform where you can actually speak back to me, because I can see your comments. So if you are watching us on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, anything that you write in the comments, I can see it too. All right. Because my friends at home, Mr. TYB and DJ Jan are always holding me down at the station and making sure that, you know, despite technology, that somehow the millennial voice is heard. And I think that we are the generation that had to deal with technology. We probably know it better than anyone else. And yet it still escapes me personally. Like I grew up in a time where there wasn't internet, and then internet came back. Then internet came in. Sorry, it didn't come back. So I'm just saying I've experienced it all. We've experienced it all. Yes, yes, yes. Blessings. I appreciate, all the love and the blessings that I receive in being able to deliver a message on this platform and being the voice, or being the curator of the voices, because I love to bring in other voices, and I do hope that Blessed is able to join us. However, I realized, I'm like, I've been asking a lot of people for, every week they come on here, I ask them, what is your biggest breakdown? How did that lead to your biggest breakthrough? Or, if it's not related, just tell me about both. What's your biggest breakdown? What's your biggest breakthrough? And I realize that I never actually, oh, okay. So what is happening with Blessed returning is actually that our link is not allowing her to come back in. So I'm going to send a message to my station managers and let them know what the error says and see if there's a way that we can bring Blessed back in. And if it doesn't happen today, I already, in my mind, I'm this kind of person. So, and through my story, you'll find out why. I have a topic in mind. It's going to be the same topic, but except I'm going to be the subject. Might as well hear about my biggest breakdown and biggest breakthrough. I always ask people, and that maybe some people are curious about me and my biggest breakdown and breakthrough. So that's what we're going to do if we can't get Blessed back on. But I would like the powers, if you're out there, to be put towards Blessed Brooks making it back on Voices of the Millennials. Because I'm telling you, she got gems to drop. Okay, so they are going to resend the link. And we are going to see about getting her back on. Yes, we will get you back on. Sending a new link. So I love this because we get to do this. As millennials, I must admit that it's pretty cool to be able to be a part of a generation where we can speak to each other like this. So they've already sent the new link, and I'm going to resend that. And this is how quick things can work. We can get our friends back online super fast. So let's see. We're going to go into my email. This is me, Elle the Lion, going into her email because I want to be able to bring Bless back on. Let's see here. and they told me that they sent a new link. Amazing. And once they tell me that, I'll get her back on. Oh, yes, I see it. We are good to go. So technology is not that fast. Like, the messages were coming through, and I was just like, got a little impatient there. That's another thing about me that you should know. Sometimes I can be impatient. So I'm going to get this back going. That being said, I think that now is a great time while we're getting Blessed back on for me to let you know very quickly where I think that my biggest breakdown was and my biggest breakthrough. And for me, right now, I'm going to tell you the one that pops into my mind, and I feel like it is one in the same. So I was going to school actually. I had decided, like, on my second degree, that I was going to finally do that thing that my parents wanted me to do, which was to become a doctor. Well, I don't know if they wanted me to do that. However, I, from a very young age, like probably 4 or 3, told them I'm going to be a doctor. And so I kind of set myself up for that. And so they just supported that idea. Like, ever since I said that, anything that related to me somehow making it into medicine or in that realm, they supported it. They wanted me to be that. But when I got to high school, I struggled with science in certain areas. I struggled with science not because I wasn't smart enough. I think that why I struggled was that when I really started to really like science, I had a teacher who didn't really like me. And if I'm being honest, I think she didn't like me because of the color of my skin, because she also didn't really seem to like one of my friends as well. And she also looked like me, a little bit lighter skin, but we were both black girls. And the only 2 black girls that were in the academic biology. And so all of the black girls that we had known, even ones who had taken academic subjects, didn't make it into academic biology. At that time, my parents had already, I knew that if I didn't do those courses, it was going to be really hard for me, almost impossible for me to go to school for science. And science was the thing that I believed was going to take me to become a doctor. So here I am in the 11th grade, and this teacher just like, she's just on my back like every day. You know, things that other students didn't seem to be getting in trouble for, I was, and me and my friend. And then we started just feeling like we didn't belong there. She would make little comments about not the color of our skin, but just us in general, the way that we talked. Like, she would kind of try to mimic us. And these were things back then that, I don't know, these were definitely microaggressions, like talking about our hair, like saying how long it took us compared to others to get to the same place, which was her classroom, making us stay after school, all these crazy things. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of avenues. There wasn't a lot of the things that are in place today, things that even I helped build because of what was missing back then. That being said, back then I didn't know it, and there wasn't a lot of people who could prove it. And so we would talk amongst ourselves and be like, yo, I think that teacher doesn't like me. I think she really, is out to get us, and really out to get us out of her class. She really tried hard. She even, I think we received like kind of like a in-class suspension for being late. And there was and this was not something that was regularly handed down. She just enforced this, but to no one else but us. And so eventually I decided that if she was going to be the teacher for like the rest of the academic science subjects that I needed to take to be the kind of doctor I wanted to be, I wasn't going to do it. I'm sad to say that I dropped. I dropped the sciences. Like by the 12th grade, I went to another school. I completely hated that school. I don't like to use that word, but that's how I felt at the time. Like, I really didn't want to be there. And that wasn't like me. I was this person, like, school was my happy place. That was the one place I loved it better than my house. Like, I was sad when summer holidays came around. That's the kind of person I was. I was smart in school. I did well at sports. School was fun to me, and the teachers could not give me licks. I'm going to be honest. I got to be a little bit of a class clown and, let it all out on the teachers. I'm sorry. I am sorry for being so disruptive. But I was really smart though, and you should have put me in gifted. That was on you. Shouldn't have put me in behavioral class. Okay. Anyways, they've been always trying to do this to me. Keep your girl down. That being said, let me make sure that I told Blessed that I sent that link. And here we go. Yes. Yes, we sent it. She knows she'll come back when it makes sense. I hope this works. But that being said, I'll go on with my story about my biggest breakdown. Anyways, all of this to say, I didn't end up doing those courses. And then I decided by the time that I went to my new school that actually I wanted to become a lawyer because people always told me that I spoke very well. It makes sense why I'm here now. And that I was always like this like advocate for people having rights. And sometimes I didn't use my powers for good, but I found my way and I decided by the time I got to university, I was like, yep, sociology, criminology, blah, 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 did all that. But then I couldn't really find out my place. I didn't really know where I wanted to be with all that. I loved being social and helping people and helping them build projects to bring their visions to fruition. So I loved doing that. And I found my way in some social programs. Eventually, I really wanted to be on the health side of things because I found that mental health was a huge reason why people were the way that they were. And okay, let's see. I'm pausing because I want to make sure that yes, I know the internet's being slow right now. It is coming. That happened to me. So I'm taking that as the universe saying to exercise more patience. One thing that I do now, not back then, now, when challenges come to me, oppose me, when my ops try to come at me, I try to reframe it in that moment, the space between my anger reaction and me thinking of a way to reframe this in my favor. Making lemonade is my status, by the way, forever. That space is becoming smaller. And so quickly, I just reframe things. And so I take the universe going slow on the internet and not giving us those links really quickly as being patience. There's a reason that they want to hear about Elle, Lyon, and how she became. And so all of that to say, I ended up going into events part-time and also doing social programs like social work, youth work, employment development, building communities, community development. And I felt fulfilled. I love helping people and putting them on. I'm not joking about that. I think because of all the times that I was put down and the people who didn't speak up for me. Okay, yes. Oh boy. Internet. So sad. Why, internet? I am here. Join anytime if it lets you. If not, we will do this again. I appreciate you, Queen. This is how I really speak, y'all. So had to do that, had to let her know because I know how that feels when you're sitting with anxiety. You feel like it's your fault. It is not your fault, Blessed. This part has never happened. We've had other technical difficulties, and that's why I'm okay with this because I have a slogan and it's new mistakes only. That is me for 2023. I am not going back to what I used to do, but I am okay with making new mistakes. I am okay with breaking down and breaking through to new horizons. That I'm okay with. So today, this has never happened. I guess we'll figure out, we'll figure it out. We will, and then we will keep elevating. That's what we do. So today, I know. The devil is a liar, but it's okay. Trying to test us. What test are you bringing? We will pass that, okay? And so I'm happy to say that actually, fast forward a bunch of years, I went into events and, but not all the way. I still was working in social work and I was like, okay, this makes more sense. It's stable. And I was slowly working my way to maybe becoming a counselor. I got into a master's program and I just had so much student debt already. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, I can't spend another 50,000. At that time, I just felt like, how could I owe $100,000 at like age 22? I can't do that. So I just like went to work and worked in fields that I thought would bring me closer to my dreams of becoming a counselor and like being able to help counsel people towards their health, because I didn't like the idea of becoming a lawyer eventually. I took it towards social work because I really wanted to be part of intervening on problems and not like only coming in when the problem had arisen. Like I wanted to precede it, preventative, actually, sorry, preventative, not just intervention like lawyers do, which we need them, but I just felt like my role was going to be stronger somewhere else, right? So that's what I did. I decided that I'm going to try to do like bring all of my passions together. I love social justice, helping people, and I think that people get into these problems because of mental health. So then I was like, I got to go back to school. When I went back to school, I didn't have the courses, as I told you. I didn't have the courses still. I didn't have the courses that I needed. Even though I did a university degree, I couldn't just get into university. Like there was things that I would have had to do at the time that I didn't have like the financial setup for. And so I wanted to go back to school, and I decided that I would go into a college program and then I would bridge my way to university again. And so I went, the one that stuck out to me, I love sports, as I said before. And so one of the kind of doctors that I was interested in being before, when, before that 11th grade teacher kind of like through my dream. Well, she just deterred me. I was the one who ultimately derailed me, but she deterred me and I jumped off the rails. And so that being said, I decided that I wanted to try to maybe revisit that passion of becoming a sports doctor, kinesiologist, and helping people in sports. And by that time, I had also learned yoga. And because of like wanting to get closer every time, like I'm the kind of person, if I can't be a doctor, then I'm gonna be this assistant to the doctor. That's like that, and then I'll find out, how do you become the assistant, because I don't think she had to do as much school as the doctor. So let me find out how to be her or him, and then I will work my way up. I'm okay with working my way up. That's something that I'd love to impart on millennials. I think that our generation is maybe the last of like those people that are okay with hard work. And I don't even think that we're that okay with it. There's a lot of us on the tail end. I might be one of them who tries to find a way out of like hard, grueling work. And I'm not saying you have to do that to be successful, but there is some work involved, mental work, spiritual work. And so I found my path. I found yoga. It helped me to develop better mental health strategies. I felt really healthy, and I wanted to teach other people how to do this. And so becoming a doctor, a kinesiologist, physiotherapist, naturopath, any of those felt like, yes, that's me, right? I loved naturopathy because I thought that even brought in counseling. So I was feeling as though, I found my purpose. And I had let go at that time of all the toxic people. By that time, I was a bit more mature. This was my second degree. Just the way my life was set up, I was a much healthier and happier person. And then, and when I went to school, I didn't link up with friends. Maybe the friends that I had back then really did. My parents always say, birds of a feather flock together, and that show me your friends and you'll be able to tell who a person is. And if your friends are the representative of your reputation, then I perhaps wasn't hanging out with the best people. And so I can understand now why that teacher may have been saying, kind of trying to get at me, maybe trying to get me to do better, but her methods were not appropriate. And they were definitely extrajudicial towards me and my friend. And I believe it was the color of our skin, because other people, eventually it started to come out that that teacher was racist, definitely had prejudices that fell down on our success in their classroom. And so here we are now. We're here like 15 years later or something like that, or Oh, sorry, that's a lot of years. It wasn't that many years. But we were here a couple years later, second degree. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm in this course. Let's get it. And I didn't have the distractions that I had before. I didn't have like a boyfriend. I didn't have my family. Like all my sisters had, they were grown up. So I'm like kind of the oldest, sort of, pretty much in my family, even though I'm not really the oldest. But I guess just how my mindset is, that's what my family calls me. And so I didn't have those responsibilities either. Like my parents seemed to be okay. Like at least they weren't bothering me about like, stuff that's going on with them. I felt like I could just focus on me. And that was something that it was a very, I really relished that time. I think about that year and a half that I had to myself where I was like really doing me. And I give thanks. I give thanks for that time. Obviously, I'm not a doctor right now. Like maybe one day I still will be. But a different kind of doctor. Maybe I'll get a PhD, and something like that. I could see that happening. That being said, when I went to school, I was distraction free and I was just focused, man. And I was attaining grades in sciences I had never done before. I learned all the same science that I learned in the 11th grade within like 2 months and like aced it. And even other subjects were added on, and I was excelling, I was elevating, and even other people in my class were noting it down. People wanted me to be their partner, of course, because I did all the work. Like, let's be real. That's also the kind of person that I am. Like, I just see holes, I must fill it. Like, that is me. And so, that being said, I was able to withhold it. I was carrying people on my back. It didn't feel like that. I was fine with it. Like I was just excelling and I loved what I was learning. I loved it so much. And then some stuff happened with my family and I got some responsibilities that I just never expected. Actually, maybe I just didn't expect to have at that moment. Who could have expected that, Some things happened. I acquired the responsibilities of taking care of my niece and my nephews, and becoming a primary caregiver in their life was something that was more important to me than fulfilling my purpose, what I thought was my purpose at the time of becoming a doctor. And when I think about that situation now, I think that at the time and for a long time, like years, my friends, it haunted me. I wondered if I made the right decision. So what I ended up doing, I'm just jumping ahead, but what I ended up doing is that I gave up what I was doing. I dropped it all in the middle of my second semester, which was like I had one more semester to go. If I had finished that first one, I could have just done one more semester, whatever. But the way the school worked in the program, I couldn't do it like that. I would have had to come back the next year. Like it was really weird. It was like a every other year type of program. And so, all of that to be said, your girl did not become a doctor. She didn't. She got close. I took the MCAT. I did take the MCAT. I did like a mock MCAT test, and it was like simulated the real MCAT, but in a mock format. So I got grades and everything. I can't remember what my grades were, but I definitely needed to study more. And that all being said, what I did do though, again, I connected with a group while I was there, and I decided that even though I could not be on campus to complete my course, I would still continue on with this school group and supporting them because the name of the group was Black Physicians of Tomorrow. And I love how the universe works because I'm going to bring this in now. So Black Physicians of Tomorrow was a group. They had just started, maybe a couple months old. And when I met them, they were doing these seminars and meetups for Black students who wanted to become doctors, Black Physicians of Tomorrow. It was part of the community support that's from the University of Toronto, where I'm from. And so that university provides resources for other universities and colleges to be able to set up these hubs where Black students can come. And if you want to become a doctor, you can connect with other people to get the resources that you need to succeed, right? And so it was amazing. I was like, you know what? There's no way that I'm ever going to get deterred from my dreams by aligning myself with this group. And so I need to do everything that I can to make sure that they continue to exist. And so I lent all the resources that I had learned. And finally, it all started to make sense in my head where, why did I go to school for sociology and psychology if I wasn't going to use it, And I finally was able to use all my experience in community development in building this organization. And it was a campus organization. However, it became much more. And so this is where I'm going to say the breakdown started turning into a breakthrough. So now here I am. I dropped out of my course, my dream course, y'all. Like, even telling this story right now, it's not with the same feelings that it used to be. Like, immediately tears would start falling as soon as I started telling the story. But now it feels like the best story ever to tell you, because here I am, like this, where I am right now. This is a breakthrough for me, because clearly this was my calling. Like, all those years ago, me just being that kind of person that just always wanted to present, even doing all the work and just making sure that we got to the fruition of the vision. I believe it's because I had this innate sense in me that I'm supposed to use my voice to make a difference. And if nobody else is doing it, I'ma do it. Like, that's me. And so this is what I applied when things started to break down in my family and my family needed help. We needed somebody to be able to stay home. My little babies, they were so much smaller then. This was about 8 years ago now. But they were so much smaller, newborn baby. And here I am. I'll admit to you, I decided a long time ago that your girl was going to be the cool auntie forever. I was going to be an independent single woman who was going to make it on her own and show everybody how it's done. I don't need nobody. All that being said, I threw that out because that's garbage. I definitely need people. And when this happened in my family, it really made me realize how much I needed people, how much I needed community and an entire village to be able to raise these kids. And, because of course, like, I'm not going to get into all the details of why, this responsibility came to me, because I feel very grateful for it. So anything that I say around why it came to me is probably going to sound like ungratefulness, but I'm very grateful for this opportunity to ditch my cool auntie status. I am an auntie. I'm a mom tea, if you will. And sometimes I get mixed up for being the mom, and I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it. So I want everyone to know that although it was in my mind to be this person, when I gave it up, it was hard to part with it. It was hard to break up. Like, it was hard to break up with that. But I understood that actually that breakdown, I needed to break up with it. There was no way that I could hold on to both dreams, because being in those kids' lives meant everything to me. It always did. It always did. I was in the delivery room with every single one of my babies. And so seeing them be born, it will change your life. If you are so grateful, if you're so lucky to ever be in the room, when a woman is giving birth, then you will see the miracle. It is just breathtaking. I cannot even explain it. And because I knew at a young age, for me, that I didn't have the urge to do that myself, then being in that room meant so much more, because maybe that was like the only time I'd ever be that close, other than my own birth, which I cannot remember. And so that being said, here we are. We got all these babies and they need caring for, and they need not only like babysitting, which was what I was used to doing up to that point. I was totally used to picking them up on the weekend, taking them out, doing that, all that cool auntie stuff, even taking them during the week, going over for tutoring, sometimes school meetings. But then when they came and they lived with me, it was a much different story. Things changed for me. I had to drop school. And when I did that, I thought my life was over. I promise you, I thought my life was over. I knew I was doing the right thing, though. Like, it did not feel right to me to stay in school and fulfill that dream, because I wondered, how could I go through with all that and wonder where my babies are, like, for the rest of my life? And if I finally get all this money and then maybe try to get them back, who will they be then? They wouldn't have been raised with me. And so to me at the time, it just seemed like there was no other choice, but in the best way. Like I was fine. I'm a very indecisive person, actually, usually. Like I like so many things, hard for me to do just one thing at a time. And so this was the first time that I knew exactly what I had to do. I was like, I know it exactly. I even bawled the biggest tears to all my teachers. They loved me so much. Like that was such a difference for me. I never had teachers like me. Like, yeah, like very rarely did a teacher see my potential. And those teachers, they did. And of course, I told you I was different when I went there, but I was still in this skin and they still like they liked me, right? And they liked my work. They gave me opportunities. Everything I earned it though. I earned that. But it was nice to be liked by the teachers. And I was like, yo, I like this. And I was like almost like, why didn't I do this before? All that to be said, here we are now. Here we are. My dream is going out the window. I'm just thinking like I'm so old now. I'm not going back to try to do this again. And also I'm raising kids now. So that means like this is a commitment. Like this is not something I could put down. This is not a job that I could quit. When I signed up for this, I knew that I would have to be in this for life. And maybe that's why I never wanted to be a mom before, like, because I thought I could run away from commitments. And if I didn't have a partner, then, there's no chance, etc. What I realized, as I told you, is that that was all a lot of crap that I was telling myself because I was scared of what it would mean to commit to something. And what if it doesn't always work out? And what if they don't like you? And what if even after you do all this, they still come back and tell you, I miss my mom, right? Or something like that. Or tell you that what you did wasn't good enough. And now being a mom, oh my gosh, it is so much work. And I understand. And I even, that's why even the circumstances, they don't really matter. What matters is like what's happening at the moment, not what happened to, bring you there, because there's a lot of other reasons why you might end up in the places that you're in. But when you become aware of where you are, and then you start to look around and you're like, what resources do I have to be able to achieve whatever it is that I want to be able to achieve, or wherever it is that I want to go? How can I get there? These kind of things, I think these kind of questions, I think about them often. However, whenever breakdowns happen, I do notice that that's when those questions come up a lot more. And those questions began to haunt me. They started to haunt me. I started to feel like, how I used to feel before I found yoga, before I found myself, before I thought I found my purpose, before, circumstances brought me to where I'm at. And so I really did think my life was over. And a part of me was grieving, and I had to like let go of that part and let it die, like let that idea in my head go to bed and rest in peace, because I had bigger fish to fry. I had bigger responsibilities, and it took me a while to really find my groove in accepting my role. Even though I took it on and I told my family, I was like the first one that's like, guys, we have to do this. We got to take these kids. We got to make sure. And like, we're going to raise them. We're going to be those people. Like, and there's so many other families that do this. It's not only us. And shout out to all those families that do that. And so we did that. We did that. We're doing it. I'm happy to say that we're still in it. There's lots of bumps along the way, tons of downs, but so many ups, and so much joy and fulfillment in seeing them grow, like seeing the first teeth fall out and being the tooth fairy and putting it under the pillow. Oh, they probably shouldn't. They won't watch this show. I'm not going to let them watch this one. Maybe the other episodes. Yeah, maybe when they grow up, I'll let you watch this one. This is for you. And so that being said, here we are. I told my family, let's do this. And then I'm the one who's also pulling back, because then it starts to get really hard. And I'm wondering, like, why did I say yes to this? But why I said yes to this is why the same thing that I felt was my biggest breakdown was actually my biggest breakthrough, because I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be sitting here. I did have a radio show when I was with, and I'm still with Black Physicians of Tomorrow. And we're going to get to that big announcement right just before we end today's show. I want you to know about this big announcement. Um, and so stay tuned, stay tuned. Keep listening to this story. It gets, there's a big surprise at the end. And so here we are, had a radio show with Black Physicians of Tomorrow, but still, after a while, we decided, hey, let's take this idea. And even though I was at home and I was being this mom, they shout out to the Black Physicians of Tomorrow. They still allowed me to be in the student group. I still did like my mock MCAT, as I told you, and all that stuff. I still did all of that. And I was still participating, and a part of me was still half in the dream. I'm like, nah, I can make this work. And so with the Black Physicians of Tomorrow, we decided that, you know what we really realized is that it wasn't in high school, or sorry, it wasn't in university that we needed the community of support. Many of us actually needed that community of support in high school. We needed it in elementary school. And we needed it because there were teachers who didn't like us simply because of the way that we looked. They would think things about us, such as this person, because they are Black, they automatically would probably be better at sports, music, or anything that's not academic. That's what they should probably do with their lives. And I definitely was streamed that way. Sports, they worked me like a horse. I was the fastest, like, oh yeah, be on every single team. And then when I wanted to do anything related to the arts, anything related to academics, always streamed out, always streamed out. But anytime it came to sports, they'd suddenly give me my way. These are things I recognize now. I didn't know it then. Of course, you're a kid. I just take what they give me. I'm happy that I get to go out for recess, even though I was being a class clown, even though, I made fun of the teacher because they needed me for the track team. Here we are, right? So all of these things, all of these were little breakdowns along the way, but my biggest breakdown definitely was like losing that, because I just had such a big idea in my mind about what I was going to become and how I was going to do it. And so luckily, I stayed with that student group. They let me lend them some skills. One of the skills was writing. I'm a big writer. And so I wrote a grant with them, and we got the grant. And the grant was to build a program, a mentorship and tutoring program for Black students who were interested in STEM subject fields. And these are students who would normally be streamed out. So we started it from age 12 all the way to 18. And we really wanted to be that preventative program that would help these students and build that bridge so they could get to post-secondary and they wouldn't be streamed out. Like when they got there, it wouldn't be, oh, you don't have the university courses in biology, so you can't take the sciences that you need to be able to go to medical school. And of course, you can take the MCAT without going to medical school. So I want you to know that too. Don't let anybody fool you. You can take the MCAT without taking an undergrad in sciences. That's what I meant. Let me reverse that. So you don't have to take an undergrad in sciences to take the MCAT and then go to medical school, but you need to be able to pass the MCAT. And of course, it's going to make it a lot easier. I took it, all right? So I'm just saying that, yeah, that was with a bit of angst because it was tough. And I had some background in sciences, right? So all of that to be said, here we are. We are here, and we wrote a grant, we got the grant, and now I'm put back into this position that I didn't think I was going to be in, but it really worked out with my life, actually. And perhaps it was always my calling to be in the community and be this elevator. Like, I chose this name for myself, Elle, like based off of my real name. And it was because I felt that this really spoke to me. And later on, I found out that I was an elevator and that I could teach other people to be elevators, and I could actually find other elevators out in the world. And I've found these people, and I've only found these people because I had that breakdown. Because I'm telling you, I was kind of like in this mindset of I don't need anybody. I'm going to do this on my own. And I was very lonely, though. I'm going to tell you that. I was getting good grades and opportunities, and the teachers liked me. The students, I was that person sitting at the front of the class with the hand up, and always declining every single school outing, like, guys, we have a test, like that kind of person. And so that all being said, I was a loner. I was popular still because when you talk to me, you could see that I have substance, but I didn't want to let that out because I knew that how I was a class clown because when I talked to people, or when I said my ideas out loud, people would talk to me. They would interact with me. We would have these discussions, and suddenly, yes, we're disrupting the class, right? And so the teachers didn't really see the potential in that. They thought I was just disrupting the class because I didn't like them, but I think it's because they didn't like me that they were disrupting me. As I told you, they should have put me in gifted. Like, I passed that test. Anyways, we'll talk about that another episode. All that being said, I'm here and I write this grant, and I'm starting to find my purpose because I realize I'm back in the community. We're doing this tutoring and mentorship program. My parents had actually done that when I was younger. And so I knew how to build the structure. My dad even and my mom came out and they helped me. My mom, she helped with all of the things like the food and making sure that the students were like fed in their mind and their spirit. And then my dad also helped with making sure that they were fed academically. And so we came together. We built this program with the Black Physicians of Tomorrow, and it ran until the pandemic. We switched it to like online tutoring. And through that experience, because people started to see me out in the community again. And then I started going to community events because in order to like build this platform, I needed to align with other groups. And so I did that. And then I started to be out in the community again. And I decided that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to build these programs and build these events and all this stuff, then I might as well formalize the business. And so then I formalized the business, and I have a company now with my business partner and my sister, Anastasia. And so it's called Madewell Productions. Go follow that. And then through building that business, as soon as I told the universe, yes, I believe in myself, then months later, I promise, like within 2 or 3 months later, for me at least, an opportunity came on my lap to work at Nuit Blanche, which is a big art festival in Toronto. And so we worked at that festival and then captured the attention of Rise Edutainment, and that's where I'm the program director now. And I had always been going to Rise volunteering, but I never let them really know what I did. Like, to be honest, they didn't really know, the people there. I was painfully shy, actually. As big as a class clown as I was actually really shy, especially in new settings. I was used to people coming to me and talking to me. And as soon as you talk to me, we gonna be best friends, y'all. But if you don't talk to me, you're never gonna hear from me, y'all. Okay, I'm a social loner. That's what I call myself. And so finally they knew what we did, and then they're like, what, we need to hire you. We just started, getting grants and stuff like that for real. And here we go. Then I started helping them a little bit with that grant writing. And now we are, we have a whole team who does that. And what I'm saying in all of this is that if I did not make that choice to let go of that dream that I thought was mine, I thought I worked for it. This is my second degree. Like, how could this not be for me? I'm going to do the thing my parents wanted me to do. I'm going to be my ancestors' wildest dreams. But it's funny because my father always told me, and he only really told me one thing. One thing that really stuck in my head. He would say that no matter what you do, make sure you are your own boss. That's what he always used to say. And now I would always think, I'm like, I think he said that because he was like really frustrated from work and having to work under people. And I don't even know what microaggressions they had back then when my dad was doing the work he was doing, because he was doing that work in the community like I'm doing right now. And it's a lot supposedly easier now, and it's still hard now, is what I'm trying to tell you. So I don't know what he went through back then. And my mom trying to do that work, being first immigrants to Canada, I don't know. And I'm so thankful for that. And so when I made that choice, I think I finally became my ancestors' wildest dream, because building generational wealth is very important. And me going far or fast all by myself, I would have become a doctor. I would have been a doctor already right now, for sure. Yeah, I would have probably been 2 doctors by now. That being said, where would I have been? How far would I have been? I would have gone fast, but how far would I have been? I don't think I would have been elevated. And I don't think I really would have been that happy. I would have definitely be wondering about my babies. And So I think that for me, there's lots of things that happened in my life that broke down, but that one, that made me really reflect and decide. I had to change, I had to decide a whole new life. And in what I felt was such a quick period of time, like things I didn't think I thought about came back to me. And finally, things that didn't make sense before, all the stories that I used to write, all the poems that I used to write, it all started to make sense to me. And as I started to use my voice to actually make a difference. So, one thing I will say for the teachers out there that didn't see my potential, you did tell me use my voice for good, and use the fact that I'm so popular to help people. That I did. So thank you for that. Everything else you could save it. But it helped me to become the person that I am today. My biggest breakdown led to my biggest breakthrough. And I'm here today. I told some people before, I had a podcast I used to do in my car for about 6 years. While I was taking care of the kids, being in the car was like the only place that I could be with myself, driving or whatever. So I just started a podcast talking to myself in the car, sorting out my thoughts, right? And so it was called Car Chronicles. And I prepared for this moment, is what I'm telling you also. I Lots of people ask me how I'm so confident to speak, etc., and they don't believe me that I was a very shy person. I am shy, and I'm confident because I practice. I used to talk to self talk is very important. So don't let anybody tell you different. Self talk is important, but I talk to myself every day, and I encourage you to do it too. If you want Build a Secret podcast, if you want to be up here, you can be one of my guests and tell other people about your biggest breakdowns and how they led to your breakthroughs. And I want to end off by letting you know that we're having an event in person in Toronto called Be the Light Youth Summit. And I'm so happy to say that Black Physicians of Tomorrow is going to be donating a $500 scholarship to this event to add to the $1,000 scholarship that we give out to students every year. This is our second annual event. And so it is on July 22nd. Also excited to announce the MC for this event, Gwen Chapman, who is someone that I've always looked up to in this game of being a community developer, being a Black woman, and just being super strong and showing people how to elevate as you get up there. Like, never forget how you got there, right? Like, always make sure that everyone is good before you up and leave the hood. That's my last thing that I want to let y'all know. Next up is the Bellas, and they talk about business, and they have topics that will help you to elevate yourself. And that's all that we have for you today. Blessed, you will be back. I hope all of you have a beautiful night. Peace and blessings, y'all. I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Voices of the Millennials, right here on Love Bay Afro Beat Music Talk Online Radio. Oh, we still going. Usually they say okay. So y'all, you know what? We're gonna keep it going. I'd really love to just put it out there and ask folks at home, what are your biggest breakdowns and how did they lead to your biggest breakthroughs? And I'm making this cut so that I can let folks know at home, please send me, if you want to be on the show,